What is going on, friends? Hipster Punchy in his Dr. Alan Grant shirt, and we're here to review the Arrow Films release for the Ring collection. This actually has Ring 1, 2, and Ring 0 Birthday, along with the original sequel to Ring, which was Spiral, or Rasen in Japan. And this is one that I've been wanting to review for a while once I got this box set, because Ring was actually my introduction to J-horror. Initially, when it came to Japanese films, my main foray into that was the Godzilla films. Hadn't quite gotten into anime yet, and also hadn't quite discovered any of their horror or any of the more serious films from Japan as well. So this was kind of my introduction to J-horror, and I was hooked. I saw the first one when I got a bootleg copy of it at a stand in a mall somewhere, and the rest is history, at least with that and Battle Royale, which will be a future review way down the road. Now, I'm going to split this into two parts. I want to try to keep videos a little shorter than I have been. So this one's going to primarily talk about the films, and then part 2 is going to talk about the actual release, the packaging, the features. So let's do this. So this collection has Ring 1, or Ring, not Ringu. I know the package says Ringu. I know every US release of it says Ringu, but it's Ring. Someone phonetically spelled out the pronunciation of Ring, and it made people think that was the actual Japanese title. It's not. It's Ring. They decided not to title it Ring because they didn't want people to confuse it with the Gore Verbinski remake, but then they released it to promote the Gore Verbinski remake. And I don't get the logic. If you're going to promote it in conjunction with that, then give it its original title, because there's no such word as Ringu. Ring was released in 1998 by director Hideo Nakata, also known for Dark Water, and it's an adaptation of the novel Ring by Koji Suzuki. Now, this film actually focused more on atmosphere and the ghost story aspect of the story, as opposed to the virus and science-y end of the novel, which actually, for horror viewing audiences, kind of streamlined it a little bit. And that actually probably made it a better film, because for the people who get mad that every little aspect of a book is not put into a film, sometimes you have to make the story make sense in a visual medium. They're two different. You can't put every little thing in there because you don't have that inner narrator like in the book explaining everything away, whereas some things just don't make sense on a visual medium, which we'll get into in a little bit. So they streamlined this, and the movie was a phenomenon in Japan and eventually the US, to the point where they remade it into a very popular US adaptation as well. It's a scary, atmospheric film. The directing is great, the tone, the lighting, the acting fits it really well. This is a film that will scare the bejesus out of you. This, honestly, is probably the one that is actually legitimately scary of the series, but it's definitely worth a watch if you have not seen this version of it before. If your only view of Ring is the US remake, watch this. They've actually, I believe, released it individually, Arrow. If not, just find a version of it, watch it. You will not be disappointed. I mentioned Stick not being too close to the novel. I'm going to go to that in a second. But the next film in this series, as far as the main films in this collection, is Ring 2, also directed by Hideo Nakata. And it takes place right after Ring, maybe a couple weeks after. And it continues the story and takes the same artistic liberties with the follow-up novel that the first one did. It takes liberties with the first film as well, taking away a lot of the scary atmosphere and replacing it with horror genre tropes, which made it still a success, but not as well received as the first film was. I like it a lot on my own, but there are people who prefer the first one much more to this one, and I like the first one better as well, but I also do not think this is a bad sequel for this. Also, there's another sequel that was released at the same time as Ring called Spiral. This one, it's more of a direct adaptation of the original novel. It includes the virus aspect of it that was not included in the adaptation of Ring. But it still continues from the film, so it kind of hits you in a doesn't really make sense kind of way. It doesn't make sense compared with Ring 1, and I think that was one thing that didn't help it. Also, being paired with it as a double feature, people were probably more bored with this one because it was not like Ring and didn't have the atmosphere of the scares, which makes sense because it was directed by someone else. This was not directed by Hideo Nakata. It's actually started its own different timeline, which includes the Sadako and Sadako 3D ones, or the Sadako 3D series, I should say. Sadako is actually the 2019 one that was directed by Nakata. It's not a bad film. It's a little more boring because it's more of a melodrama with some gore elements. It's way gorier than any of the other films on here, but yeah, it's a little dull compared to Ring and Ring 2. The third one is actually Ring Zero Birthday, directed by Norio Tsurudo. This was not well received at all. Actually, it's pretty bad. It's definitely the worst film in this collection, and it feels like a bad ripoff of Carrie, just with Sadako as the main character. They adapted it from the Lemonheart short story in the Koji Suzuki birthday novel, which is from the same series as Ring and Spiral or Rasen. But I don't think it's a good film at all. This one I had the toughest time watching. I could even find things I liked about Spiral, and things that made me think it was at least a decent film. This one just not good at all. I've seen some clunkers, and this couldn't even engage me at any level. Even the scary parts, it's kind of numb to them. So I do want to talk a little bit about the transfers. The transfers are great for this one. They're crisp, they're clear. The sound is great. If you made a trailer for these with the way modern horror trailers are made, you would not be able to tell a lot of these films are at least 20 years old. So Arrow did a really great job with these restorations. As for overall for the films in this set, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, mostly because of the restoration and Ring 1 and 2. The only thing preventing me from giving it more than an 8 is going to be Spiral, which was a tad boring, and Birthday, which was bad. So thank you for watching part 1 of my Ring collection review. Check back in about a day or two for my second part of this, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell. Let me know which is your favorite from this series in the comments section below, and rest in peace, Stuart Gordon. I'll see you guys shortly.